lives, this calling that we're talking about today, is all made up of decisions that we make, if you want to get down to the nitty-gritty. If you want to get down to the nitty-gritty of knowing what our calling is and having a better life, it's made up of the decisions that you make. So if you want to be different, make a different decision. So please, and again, it's not about me being upset or me being annoyed. I'm upset for you. I'm upset for you that these gems are just passing by right in front of you and we're losing. So you still have the second half of the day. Don't walk out of here a loser today. Don't walk out of here in slavery today. So free yourself. Free yourself at this time. Deal? Sounds good? All right. Sorry.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a long day, and I hate talking for a really long time, so I need you to talk with me. I have questions that I'm going to ask you, and I want answers. I have verses I need people to read that I need you to read, and I have candy for the people that do so. So pay attention, please, because I get really annoyed with my own voice. I want to start with saying, unlike my mom, I am a little bit closer to you in age, so consider this as unsolicited older sister advice, lessons I've learned in my years, and honestly, as I was preparing for this, I realized I was hearing from God about what I needed to change in my own life, and so this is not me talking at you, it's me learning with you, growing with you, and you're never too old to grow. You're never too old to learn something new. But with all that said, I'm placing a big emphasis today on social media, not because I'm here to say it's bad, get off of it, don't use it. I think it's a really powerful tool for good and bad. But I think we all are at an age where we can use our autonomy and our own minds of thinking of how to use it for good. So I just wanted to kind of start with that little disclaimer. But first, I have something I want you guys to watch that was really impactful for me. So let's see if I can do this correctly.
Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings? Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings? And still think there's something greater out there for me. And still think there's something greater out there for me. Maybe a lot of people would say, hey man, this is what it is. Maybe a lot of people would say, hey man, this is what it is. I reached my goal, my dream, my life is, it's got me, I thank God. It's got to be more than this. This can't be what it's all cracked up to be. I mean, this can't be what it's all cracked up to be. I mean, I've done it. I'm 27. What else is there for me?
What's the answer
for me? I wish I knew.
What's the answer?
I wish I knew. I mean, wish I knew. I mean, it's. I think that's part of me trying to go out and experience other things. But trying to go out and experience other things. I love playing football and I love being the quarterback. I know. I love playing football and I love being the quarterback. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of other parts about. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of other parts about me that I'm trying to find. Different ways of expression, being around different ways of expression, being around. I know what ultimately makes me happy. Positive relationships with and positive relationships with. And I think I get more out of that. Great people, and I think I get more out of that than anything.
So, I know this is like way before your time. This was from 2005. Most of you were probably toddlers by then. That's Tom Brady. For those of you who don't know, he was 27 at the time that this interview was taken. He's considered the GOAT of football, right? He has the most Super Bowl rings, one of the longest players ever. I looked it up. At this point in his career, he was making between $10 to $14 million a year. That's a lot. Did anyone catch how many Super Bowls he had won at this point? 3? Yeah. So he's saying, even with that, even with $14 million, even with his fame, right? My mom was talking about how people want to be recognized and acknowledged. Even with all of that, I think at this point he was dating the biggest supermodel in the world, right? He had everything that society says you need to have to be happy in life, and he's like, come on, there's got to be more than this. What else is there? He's seeking something to plug into. What else do you guys think he was really seeking? God. He didn't know it, but he was seeking God. Yeah? Truth. It sounds like he was seeking contentment.
Something missing.
Yeah, there's something missing. He's seeking peace. He's seeking purpose, right? Direction, guidance. Even though he's like in this big career that he worked his whole life for, even though he thought he was living out the dream life he had planned for his life, right? So all this to say, I think that fame, achieving your goals that you set for yourself, may not always be how God has called you. It may not always be the end that God has planned for you. So earlier my mom was saying how we are all called by name for an individual purpose. I want you to ask yourself, do your lives today reflect that? Who are you following every day? And I don't mean like just on Instagram or your friends. Like, who do you follow? Who do you listen to the most? On Sunday, it may be God. What about a Tuesday? What about on Friday night? Saturday night? Who are you following? I have 2 big points to make. The first one is, how do you unfollow things that are keeping you from God's guidance and peace in life? So, who you follow and what you spend your day listening to and the information you're absorbing all day is subconsciously impacting your actions, your thoughts, the way you talk to yourself, and the way you speak to people, right? Where you seek validation in people and where you seek self-worth, maybe being well-liked. This is how you check who you are and who you follow. How often do you guys look to see throughout a day after you post something, how many people liked it, how many people saw your story, commented a fire emoji, or you kind of base your self-worth on being the person that's invited to everything by everyone all the time, or maybe you're the one planning everything, and that gives you a sense of purpose and self-worth in your friend group. I want us to be mindful that there are numerous physical and spiritual battles we face every day without even knowing, and we're not even aware of them. They work so hard to keep our attention away from God. So I want someone to read Ephesians 6, verse 12. And whoever reads it, I have candy. So who wants it? Yeah? Go ahead.
For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Mark. That was great. So we are battling every day with spiritual forces. We're battling with daily authority. We're battling with things you don't realize, right? We can't take this lightly. We can't just go on about our day and not acknowledge that this is happening. We can't just think, oh, God will fight for me, right? He knows, he's got this. Like, yes, he will, when you are standing guard, when you are vigilant, right? So one of my favorite books of all time, let me see, okay. This is one of my favorite books of all time. If you don't know C.S. Lewis, he's an incredible author. He's dead, but he was an incredible author. This is called The Screwtape Letters. So The Screwtape Letters is one of my favorite books because it's probably the most uniquely written form of fiction that presents spiritual warfare in such an incredible way. It got me thinking about my spiritual life in a way no other a book that's not the Bible has, right? So he's writing from the perspective of a demon. of Satan. And this demon is writing to his uncle, who's called Screwtape, and this uncle is like the right-hand man of Satan. He's like buddies with Satan. And it's this whole like world underground of minions and demons who are assigned to each of us. They each have a human being that they're assigned to pull away from God. And he's asking for advice. How do I do this, right? So Screwtape is writing back and he's like, oh, well, distract them when they're in church. Instead of listening to what the preacher is saying, have them judge what that person's wearing. Have them wish that they were somewhere else, that they were hungry, whatever it is, right? These are things that we don't even realize is going on, and it's some of the most powerful distractions in our lives. And it's even worse today with how much we're absorbing in a day and how much we're expected to be like acknowledging every day. So we have to stand vigilant. What does that mean? What does it mean to be vigilant? We have to be on guard. Okay, we can't just show up to our lives every day, wake up, willy-nilly, like not prepared, not in scripture, not carrying like our breastplate of righteousness and our sword of truth and everything that's mentioned that we need every day to equip us to overcome these daily battles. So I want someone else to read 1 Peter 5, verse 8. Whoever gets there first. Can someone read it? Anyone have a Bible app on their phone? They should have their, you want to read it? 1 Peter 5, 8. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour.
Thank you. Here. Thank you. Okay, what does this verse mean? Be sober-minded. Be watchful. Your adversary is prowling like a roaring lion. There are so many places in the Bible that literally is warning you of what is going on outside of your world, outside of your head. We have to be disciplined. We have to be discerning every day. What are we looking at? Who are we listening to? How is this conversation pulling me away from what God is trying to show me? How is what I'm watching on TV pulling me away from the life that God wants me to live? So there was a really crazy study done. Okay. Earlier this year in January. Okay, January 2025, this study came out from the National Institute of Health. It shows some interesting findings about algorithms and AI and social media conglomerates. So it says, the frequent engagement with social media platforms alters dopamine pathways. That's a critical component in reward processing, fostering dependency analogous to substance addiction. The part I want to focus on is the role of artificial intelligence, AI, in this process is significant. AI-driven social media algorithms are designed solely to capture our attention for profit without prioritizing ethical concerns. Personalizing content and enhancing user engagement by continuously tailoring feeds to individual preferences, right? A lot of big words, a lot of science, blah, blah, blah. What does this mean? This means that social media platforms are literally designed for profit, and they are created to create addictive behaviors. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that sends messages to and from our brain, right? Dopamine is the neurotransmitter for pleasure. So that's what you feel, it's secreted when you are doing something you like eating really good food, spending time with friends, listening to music that you like. AI is created to alter that in our brains and make us addicted to what we're seeing on their platforms so that they can make more money. So what I want to help you think introspectively about is how you can control the information you're absorbing with these vehicles, right? I said at the beginning, I'm not here to say, delete all your social media, it's so bad for you, right? That's unrealistic. Social media is here to stay. AI came and it's here to stay for the unforeseeable future. We can't just live under a rock, but we can control how we use it, what we use it for, and what we view. So I want you to ask yourself, who do I follow on these platforms? What kind of accounts are flooding my feed? What is the first thing that fills my mind in the morning when I wake up? When I go to bed? What language and profanity am I listening to in music? What have I become desensitized to because of this? Am I desensitized to cursing because it's like in every other word of the songs I'm listening to? Am I desensitized to how women should be treated based on the TV shows that I watch? What behaviors am I mimicking from TV and movie and everything that I'm absorbing? These are all questions we need to ask ourselves. This is part of being vigilant. This is part of being discerning. So let's say some of these apply to you. Let's say you realize like, oh, you know, like I do curse a little bit more, or I'm fine with hearing these words, or like, you know, I'm fine watching this at night because like it's only for a little bit. Not everything you're doing though is going to pull you away, right? Like maybe there are some things that you're seeing that are really positive. Maybe some of it is like encouraging. But for things that are, how do we unplug practically? So I recently was in London with my sister. We just went on a little girls' trip for a few days and came back, and I was super jet lagged. So bad, okay? I was up at 4:30 every single day, pissed that I was awake. I was really upset because I had a long day ahead of me. So I'll be honest, so honest with you, I did not roll over and grab my Bible and immediately start reading. I don't think my brain was quite functioning yet, okay? I did do that eventually, like maybe a couple hours later, but I checked my phone to see what time it was. I don't have a clock. I should buy one, but I check on my phone. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm not gonna go back to sleep, so let's see. So I started scrolling Instagram, and I was like, what is this? Like, where are my friends? Where are the people I actually chose to follow? Like, the algorithm in the feed just messed it up so much, I didn't even see anyone I recognized. So I got really annoyed. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go and look at every single account I follow, and I'm gonna unfollow the ones based on a few parameters. Here's what I was unfollowing based off of. Does this account positively inform me or influences me in my daily life? Is this an acquaintance or a friend that I genuinely care to keep up with? Does this person have an active profile? Like, are they even still on social media? And is this a public figure that actually matters in my life? I ended up unfollowing like over 300 accounts that morning within 45 minutes. So I went from like, I don't know, 1,200 to like 900 that I follow. And now when I'm scrolling, I'm honestly like, oh my gosh, there's my friend and her new baby. There's my sister. There's like this person that I met, I don't know, a month ago that I really enjoyed talking to. Like I actually recognized the people I was looking at. So all that to say, I don't think that everything you do is necessarily horrible for your life, but I do think we have control over it, and we can't be mindlessly just accepting everything that social media is throwing in our way, right? Not just social media. We can't just be mindlessly absorbing information that people share with us, that people tell us, like the conversations we're having. So I want to end this note with a challenge for you all. Look at what you're following, who you're following. I think it would be great if after today you guys unfollow like 10 accounts, 10 people, 10 things that don't serve you, that are not edifying, right? That are just like absolutely useless. And I can guarantee you're going to unfollow even more than 10, but I would love to just start there and start small. So if you don't have social media, I think this can still apply to you. A lot of people may just be like really good with self-control, and I wish I was you. I applaud you. That's not me yet, maybe one day. But if you don't have social media, think about the music you're listening to, the podcasts you're listening to, what you're watching, what you're absorbing, the news sources that you're watching every day and listening to every day. Is this making you angry with the world? Like, does this make you angry at God for what's going on in the world? I think there's just such overwhelming noise in our lives. And we have the power to dilute that. And we can't just be followers of media, right? We can't just be followers in everything that we're doing in our lives. So I also have, well, skip that. Second point. What do you fill your mind, body, and daily life that can place you in God's presence, right? So like, I'm not here to tell you that the only way to live in the presence of God is by deleting social media, only listening to the Igbeya in the car, or any of that, right? Like, I think that's great. I think you should do that as much as you can. But I think for me, I found that that was a really extreme and unrealistic expectation on myself, and I don't follow through with things if they're unrealistic. I'm not gonna do something every day if I'm setting a goal for myself that is just not easy. So I think that when you take a little bit more control and you take a little bit more autonomy, it's just a lot better. The New York Times posted an article last Sunday, actually. I was really surprised by this, and it was called Chatting with God. This article explores how tens of millions of people are turning to AI-powered religious apps that mimic conversations with God or religious leaders. These apps are like skyrocketing to the top of like Apple's App Store, and some of them are Bible chat, like Hallow, and Hallow was actually Apple's like most downloaded app in front of Netflix at one point last year. Okay, that's really cool. Like, why is this relevant? I think this means that there's an outbreak of people, like Tom Brady, seeking religious guidance, seeking like higher authority in their toughest moments of life that they're just not getting from the people around them. They're looking to people like Moses, Job, Joseph in the Bible, and they're like, what did they have that I don't have to get God's attention? And God blessed their lives so much. So religious leaders have shared support of this, and they are saying like, yeah, these apps are great as long as they don't replace the traditional religious communities, the sacraments, and I want to emphasize that as well. For me, I love my Bible app because every day at 9 a.m., I have it set to send me the daily verse. So on my way to work at 9 a.m., no matter how stressed I am, how many emails I'm reading on my phone, getting ready to go to work, I get a ping, and I like that sound. It's really nice, and it's the verse of the day, and it's always like, I don't know, sometimes I screenshot them and I put them as my background on my phone because I just really loved that verse for the day. I think these apps are really helpful if they complement your spiritual life, right? They should not replace the Bible. They should not replace the Igbeya. They should not replace confession with your priest. But I think they can be really helpful. And I think this is just one way that you can use media, that you can use your phone to bring you closer to God, right? So I've been telling you kind of to unplug, right? Like this is called the unplugging challenge. But what can we plug into? So a lot of people who struggle with addiction, they're taking things out of their life that have been really, really bad for them, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's porn, whether it's whatever, right? Like these are strong addictions people have in their lives, and they're told to take them away. The problem with that is that if you don't replace that with something, they're gonna go back to it. It's a brainwave, right? It's something in your brain that just like, it's an addictive personality. So unless you replace what you're removing with something better, you're just going to go back. So what can we replace the bad things we're seeing, the bad things we're absorbing? What can we replace that with? I have some ideas, but I'd also love to hear some of yours. So practically, something I have found to help me in the morning, I listen to worship music all the time. Instead of like the new album, as soon as I wake up in the morning and it's like, I can't even think, the first thing I do is I check my Oura Ring to see how I slept that night. And then I open Spotify and I have a huge playlist over the years that I've just developed of like praise and worship songs. And a lot of them we sang today actually, which I really loved. And it's playing. Even if I'm not actively listening to it, like I'm brushing my teeth, I'm getting ready for the gym, I'm commuting to work. Like I said earlier, you're subconsciously absorbing everything you're listening to and seeing and watching. So if I'm not actively listening, I'm absorbing the word of God in a way without me like sitting down actively. I think that's a great way. Another one is, and this one I cannot stress enough, guys, please get a hobby. Like, do something off of your phone. Have a skill. No one is more uninteresting than someone without a skill, someone who doesn't do anything. Like, okay, I have met so many people in Manhattan. I've lived there for almost 4 years now. So many cool people, so many really not cool people. The people I hang out with now are the people I've kind of diluted from everyone I've seen. And I have to say, these people are so interesting. One of my best friends, she's a painter. She's a full-time artist, okay? Another one is like an optometrist. One of them is like training for marathons every other month. It's so cool. The most uninteresting people are the people who don't know how to have a conversation about anything than the memes that they send you, than things that they're repeating off of media. They don't really do anything. What did you do tonight? I don't know. I was just like doom scrolled. I was just like binge watching this show, like whatever. Get a hobby, get a skill. Like, do something. This year, my New Year's resolution, I was gonna teach myself how to play the guitar. This has been my New Year's resolution at least 5 times in my life. I'm horrible at the guitar, okay? I wish Buna Daniel could teach me. I really cannot play, but I'm trying, okay? Every couple months I remember, and I'll go back to it, I'll retune my guitar, and I'll like try. I can probably play like 10 chords. No, I don't even know if there are 10 chords. Maybe like 3 chords really well, and that's it. Thank you. But it's a start. Another thing, I know Buna mentioned this earlier, I just joined culinary school. Like, I work a full-time job, and now I'm in culinary school at night because I want to be a chef. And over the years, I've been practicing cooking different meals, and I cook for friends and family for fun. And I just think that when you do something actively, you forget about what's on your phone. You forget to be in these group chats. You forget everything, and you're living in the real world. Those are the interesting people. Be interesting, please. Like, I cannot emphasize this enough. No one wants to be friends with someone who's boring. That's it. That's like the honest truth. You didn't ask me, unsolicited. There it is. Another one. I challenge you to memorize a verse, like once a week, once every 2 weeks. I grew up going to a private Christian school. Oh my gosh, we had verse quizzes and I hated them. We literally had to memorize a verse every week for Bible class. And I would like write it on a note card and tape it to my mirror every day, just so like I would look at it. That was my goal, right? I set my intention to like put it on a note card. Okay, I'll read the verse while I'm brushing my teeth, right before I go to bed, whatever. I was really bad. It got to a point where I would just look at the verse like 10 minutes before class and like immediately memorize it and then just regurgitate it on the test, on the quiz. I didn't do so well those times. But what's cool now is that I'll be in church or I'll be having conversations with people, and these verses that I memorized when I was like 9 or 17, they pop up, and I like can finish the verse. Or someone is telling me something about like they're struggling with something in their lives, and I'm like, oh, well, in the Bible it says this. They're like, how did you know that? I don't know. I memorized it when I was like 11, and it stuck with me. But it's such a beautiful way to show encouragement to people. It's such a beautiful way to be in the Word, and honestly to help yourself when you're going through hard times. Another idea is, and I know I'm harping on this a lot, but again, I said this is more a lesson for me, and I learned a lot from it, but as you're unplugging from things that are bad, maybe unfollowing, doing whatever, plug back in with things that are good. I started following a lot of Christian accounts. I started downloading a lot of these apps that help me every day. I really, really took control and altered what I'm seeing. I will tell you, my feed is all food videos and cooking videos, and it's really fun. And I copy a lot of them, but I think it's worth trying. Okay, I'm almost done, I promise. The last one I want to say, and this is something I am so passionate about, and please, if you have questions, come talk to me after. Please work on your physical health as well as your mental health. Your physical health feeds your mental health. I cannot emphasize this so strongly. So many psychiatrists are going around, because obviously anxiety and depression are one of the biggest issues in our lives right now because of media, because we live in an age where we are burdened by noise more than anyone has ever been burdened on the face of this planet. Truly. When you take care of yourself, when you set a goal for yourself physically, when you focus on what you're eating, it actually does impact these neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, and it changes the way you see yourself, it changes the way you see others, it gives you more energy, you're gonna sleep better, you're gonna think better. Maybe one way that you spend your time is training for a 5K or a 10K or doing something. I just think that this is a huge, huge way of unplugging from things that are bad and doing something really good for the body that God gave you, right? He tells us to treat it like a temple, and we need to really think about that, even at your age. Lastly, I know this has been a really long day. Thank you guys for being so attentive. I just want to end by saying that, I just mentioned this, there's such a pressure on us to be so well informed, to have so many different opinions, to be the smartest person in the room, to be the funniest person in the room, right? I know my mom was saying this a little bit earlier, but this is not a requirement that God has ever placed on us. He has never, ever told us to be the smartest person in the room. He never told us to be the one that's I want you to say and do the most of your classmates and be the most well-known and be the loudest. That's such an overwhelming expectation, and it kind of can set us up for failure and help us think negatively about ourselves. But that doesn't mean we just forget all of our responsibility, right? We have to be good stewards of our work. God gave Adam a job. The first man on earth, he gave him a job to name all the plants and all the animals. But that said, we can live in the freedom of these expectations that society puts on us, that our friends put on us. They're not leading us towards Christ. They're not worth our time. They're not worth our mental thought. You know what's not cool is being a follower of men. I think standing up for what and who you believe in commands so much respect in people who are not even Christians. I will say this, we live in one of the most secular cities in the entire world. Manhattan is really secular. At my job, I think I'm the only Christian, right? And I'm outspoken about it, people know. And honestly, they really respect that on Sundays I miss brunch with them to go to church. And they know it. They're like, oh, I know, Caitlin, you have church on Sunday, but come after. And I say, okay, yeah, I'll come after if I can. They respect it a lot. Standing up for what you believe in and who you believe in will get you so much farther in life than not. So I want to end on one more verse. And I actually think this is the one you guys should memorize if you have not already. Can someone read 1 Corinthians 16:13? Anyone? 1 Corinthians 16:13. How about a girl? We haven't had a girl read. You guys all have really nice voices. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Okay, I'm going to come find you, and I'm just going to ask someone, unless you raise your hand. Yeah? Perfect.
Watch, stand fast in the faith, be brave, be strong.
Thank you. So it's saying, well, my version is different. So I'm going to see. Okay, 1 Corinthians 16:13. If you were raised with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ is, sitting at the right hand of God. Set your mind on things above. We live in this world, but our minds don't have to be set on this world. When you see your life as preparing for eternal life with Christ, so much does not matter anymore, and it's so liberating. It's so liberating. When your mind is on Christ every day and you pray, Jesus, like, please set the tone for my day. Jesus, please show me what you want me to see. You are liberated from the expectations, from the noise, from things that are not calling you by name. This is God's way of calling you by name. Put your mind on him, put your mind on things above, and you will hear his voice. When we have all these distractions, we can't hear anything. My favorite thing in my life are my noise-canceling AirPods. I'm not kidding. They really drown out the subway. They drown out, like, the crazy homeless men, like, yelling at people in the street. And I can hear my praise and worship. And I can walk to work and kind of live in La La Land for a little bit. Think of this challenge as a challenge to, like, have noise-canceling AirPods or headphones of the world. Just focus. Like, really, really focus on what God is calling you to do, on who he's calling you to be, for yourself, for the people in your life. I think it's a beautiful opportunity. So I really appreciate your attention. I know that this was, like, such a social media heavy conversation, but on my heart, I really felt God calling me to speak on this at this time, because there are so many things happening right now that are so disappointing. I know my mom mentioned briefly, like, Charlie Kirk, whatever. Like, the media is going crazy. It's always going to go crazy over something, but that doesn't mean we have to absorb it and absorb it only. And I really feel like God was calling me to talk to you about that, and I hope you didn't feel like I was just telling you, because I really needed this. I actually think I learned a lot, and my lesson of, unfollowing 300 people felt great. So you guys are all really smart. You're clever. I can see that. You came here on your Saturday, on your day off from school, and that says a lot about who you are. That says a lot about what you're seeking, and I really, really applaud you for that. I know I went really long, and I'm really sorry, but thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute, absolute pleasure, and I think I needed this more than you, so thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin, so much. Thank you so much for the word. We're going to move into the next. Mark is going to help us with some of the questions. So we have a few questions that have come through. Some shouldn't have been asked. I don't know who asked them, but I wanted Timothy Tillman to ask the question. But anyway, just kidding. So there's going to be a few questions. We're going to take first with Mark. He's going to help us with that.
How's it going, guys? I'm Mark. I'm serving from Virgin Mary St. George, SI2. So we're going to go ahead and do the Q&A. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? Anything ready?
Any live questions?
Any live questions?
Ask anything to Caroline or Caitlin or about the day in general. First person that asks the question gets something. We have more candy.
There you go, yeah. By the way, thank you. It was an amazing talk. Honestly, I remember getting the same talks when I was their age. I kind of wish my brain was developed enough to understand. You know, when you grow older, you're like, oh wow, like all these things were actually true. So if nobody has any live questions, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this is actually a good one. So I'm sure a lot of us are probably dealing with this in high school, especially. It's how can I leave all the bad influence without people hating me or thinking that I'm weird or acting different or anything like that? Yeah, no problem. So how can I leave all the bad influence without people hating me or thinking that I'm acting weird or different?
Well, does anybody, adults, anyone, have any ideas? Anybody? Go ahead, Theo.
If you're going to lead a bad influence or a group of people, replace it with those that are going to edify your time. So like those that are at the church, those that are coming to conventions, like building a closer relationship with your servants or your priests. These are influences that are going to help edify and replace that which is bad with the good.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea, and that's from someone your age group. So that was great. Thank you, Theo. Meg?
Every single one of you here is a leader. Every single one of you here is a leader. Every single one of us here has the ability to lead the way, pave the way, and you all follow. Who do you follow? Like what Katie was saying, who do you follow? Who did the disciples follow? Who were they? What did they do? They were teens like you, they were youth. St. Peter was older, he was married. Most of them were youth. How did they set fire to the world and change the whole world? What did they do? They weren't scared. They saw the truth, they lived the truth, they set the example for the truth, and they led the way. Share the gospel with the whole world. Don't be scared. You are who you are. Who are you? Who do you follow? Follow them. That second person, that first person who is the leader, the quote-unquote leader who changes whatever it is, whether it's spiritually, whether it's the new fad, whether it's who's moving to this amazing part of the country. That first person makes the decision to go. The second person who follows them is also a leader because that person is oh, that first person's not crazy. This person has something. I'm gonna move, I'm gonna follow that person too, and I'm gonna set the example so that my friends and the people who I surround myself with, my family, my community, they're gonna follow me too. Don't be scared. Every single one of you is a leader. Every single one of you.
Thank you. Caitlin?
If people hate you for taking out bad things in your life, do you really want them in your life? Are these people that you want around in your life, truly? I think maturity and growth, as you mature and grow, the people around you change. And that's healthy and that's good. I don't think everyone needs to change, but I think the more you grow, you're gonna see your friends are people that are also growing, or they're people you leave behind, right? And that's okay. But it is hard, and it's a big challenge, and it's something that Jesus calls us to, and he never promised it would be easy, right? He never promised it would be seamless. But I do think that the more you grow, the more people around you are gonna change, and that's either gonna be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you're growing. So just be mindful.
Yes, I think you heard a couple of great ideas, and I honestly have noticed, because I do work in a high school with kids your age, and what I have found is that as much as people fear being called weird, odd, loser, religious, freak, fanatic. Believe it or not, and I don't know if this is like a recent movement or change, people actually respect the bold, the one that stands up for what they believe in. And even though they don't have enough courage to do it, they admire the courage in you. I know it's much easier to blend and to follow the crowd. But then what sets you apart? What makes you unique? What makes you special? What makes you called by name? Back when we were growing up, we were made, like today it's so different. We were made fun of because we were Egyptian. That's all it was. It wasn't even that we were Christian. It was that we came from Egypt. And they wondered if we ride camels to work, or if my dad took a camel to work, because that's how ignorant sometimes people can be. Today, people, when they hear you're Egyptian, they're like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. But I never turned against my culture and my faith just because other people thought it was weird. Or what is normal today? What is normal? Like, I'll tell you a really funny story that this father was telling me. Actually, it was a teacher who told me that you know in the schools now, how students are trying to find their identity, but some of them are identifying as pets. So in this Egyptian family, and it was not an Egyptian Christian family, it was an Egyptian Muslim family, and the one boy comes home and tells his dad that he decided he's not his son anymore, he's a pet. And his dad's like, oh, what kind of pet? He's like, well, I haven't decided yet, but I'm a pet. And then his father said, okay, do you know where pets live? Or do you know where the pets in this house live? They live outside, in the dog house in the backyard, and I will get you a collar, and I will give you dog food, and I will give you your water. Because this kid thought he's got to do what everyone else at school is doing. The kid didn't think his dad was going to take it that far. The kid spent the night in the dog house in the backyard. And guess what happened? He came and knocked on the door next morning. Dad, I'm not a pet anymore. I'm your son. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world, you guys. But the most important thing, be who you were created to be. Don't be afraid. So what if one or two people think you're weird or you're odd? It's okay, and it's going to be okay. Abunas, do you want to say anything?
What I would say is, for the question that came in about the bad influences, it really begs the question, what do you care so much about? Like, it really begs the question, where are you headed? Because it's thinking about it in terms of, like, you care so much about looking cool in front of people rather than following, like, what's true, like what really stands its ground, what's holy and what's righteous. Or do I just care about having a foot on this side and on this side? Do I care about really making that stance of following, like, holiness and righteousness? Because I know God has a plan for it, like we were saying. He's calling you to be an individual, right, for God, and He's calling you and saying, you're my child and you're my daughter. And I live on these situations when I just care so much about, like, the looking a certain way because I'm not following the right thing. Then what am I following? Am I just something that goes with the wind, or am I established on good ground and I know where I'm headed, I know where I'm going? It's just something to think about in terms of, what do I care about the most? Do I care about having the look of looking cool, but I'm not following the right thing? It's a question that we should ask ourselves, but just something small. I don't know if Abuna has anything to add.
I'm actually really happy with the way the question was asked. That if I'm looked at for being different and people make fun of me, and the reason why I'm happy is because different is actually exactly what you're supposed to be. That's exactly what we're supposed to be. And that's biblical. Because when you go back to the book of Leviticus, and God was giving all of these meticulous laws to His people, why did He give them these laws? Because there was a specific calling for them. Does anyone know what that calling was? It was to be something. Be something just as, does anyone know? Someone said it. Be holy, right? Be holy just as what? Just as your Father in heaven is holy, right? Does anyone know what the word, when we say the word holy in the liturgy, what word do we use? It's Greek. Agios, right? And we'll break down, take a quick 2 seconds to do a little breakdown of what that word actually means, so that way you understand the context of this question. If you break down the word agios in Greek, right? It's actually broken down into 3 parts. It's a, gi, and os, right? Os at the end, we'll leave that because that's just part of the word to let you know that it's the male, it's the male that makes that word male. But if you go to the word gi just means earth. The word when you add the word or the letter a before any other word, what does it do? It negates everything that comes after it. So if you put that all together, what does the word agios really mean? Not of this earth. So when we're called biblically to be holy, just as our Father in heaven is holy, what is really that calling? To be what? To be different. To be not like everything else that's around you. So as much as sometimes, and I'm not saying that because I know it's easy, hearing things that sometimes we hear for being different I get a difficult pill to swallow. And it's hard. But this is why our beautiful church gives us a community, gives us spiritual fathers, gives us each other to lean on when things get hard, right? But when things are hard, that's not a calling to also back down. Because when you back down and you start to just become like everything else, not living up to our calling, how do we feel when we're not living in the way we're actually supposed to be living? If someone has a job, for example, take a priest, for example, take myself, for example, and what is the calling of the priest? What is your expectation of a priest? Guide you spiritually. Okay, what else? What else do you think happens in the day of the life of a priest? What else do you think we do? Liturgies, what else? Confessions, good. There's visits. There's all of these things that happen. Phone calls, checking it. There's a lot of things that happen. Now imagine all I did was just show up weekly and just pray liturgy. Is that living up to the calling of priesthood? Now, how do you think that makes an individual feel not living up to or doing what they're supposed to be doing? They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but how do you think that makes someone feel internally? How do you feel? Okay, bad. What else? Unfulfilled. Good words. What else? Any other ideas? What about purposeless? What about down? What about not having meaning? Right? Because in the book of Daniel, there's actually this beautiful phrase. I forgot what part it is, and I think maybe Abuna Daniel could probably tell us better. But there was a part where an angel visited a king in a vision, and he wrote 3 things on the wall. And one of them is one of the scariest things you can ever read. Scary. It said that you've been measured, you've been weighed, and you've been found wanting. That we weighed you, that you were supposed to live up to this expectation, but you didn't meet it. Now that's something that's hard to hear. I know a lot of what we hear day in and day out is hard. Being different is hard. Having to stand out is hard. But you know what's harder? Someone looking at you, forget someone, God looking down and saying, you're not living up to what I set forth in your life. And I think the beautiful thing that can come out from today is recognizing that God has a beautiful vision for the life of every single person that's sitting in this room today. Beautiful vision. And if you work in harmony with Him, to live up to that vision, get ready for a beautiful life. A beautiful life. And if we don't, that's also up to you. The beautiful thing about God is that He respects His creation. And if you decide, this is not what I want to do, it's up to you. It's just like the prodigal son. Did He tell the prodigal son, no, this is stupid, you can't leave, I know what you're going to do with that money? And is that what He did to him? He said, no. If this is what you want, and you think this is how you want to live, tfaddal, go ahead. See how far that gets you. Until full circle, where did he find himself back? Back with his God, back in his Father's house. So we know exactly what we're supposed to do. We know how it is we're supposed to live and how it makes us feel. And like we were saying in the very beginning of the talk, it comes down to our decisions. So just make decisions that line up to exactly what it was we're supposed to do.
Thank you, Abuna Timmy. Thank you, Abuna Daniel. Thank you. This is actually a very elite panel right now. We should really all lock in, like listen to what's going on. All right, so does anybody have any questions? Has anybody thought of anything that they want to ask? Blank stares everywhere? Nothing? Okay. All right, so next question to our very elite panel. How can I bring my friends closer to God if they don't feel close or if they don't want to know God? I can repeat. So, how can I bring my friends closer to God if they don't feel close or if they don't want to be or if they don't want to know God?
I have a lot of people in my life like this. I think this is a really beautiful opportunity to lead by example. And I think our actions are so fueled by what we're absorbing. When you are living in the Word, when you are living in truth, when you are completely engulfed in God's grace and His peace, you glow and you shine, and your actions express that, your words show that. And I think an example that really moved me was I was at work one day, and it's a really stressful job, and there was just a lot of chaos going around, and a lot of my colleagues who are Jewish or totally agnostic, they were like coming up to my desk one after another. They're like, Caitlin, oh my gosh, like this is so stressful. Like, how are you so calm? Or like, how are you not going crazy? Like your manager totally like threw you under the bus for this, whatever it was. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just like during that day, I don't know. I think I had a really good quiet time that morning, and I felt so, like my mind was so set on what was above. It just did not faze me. And apparently my friends were like, Caitlin, you're just exuding so much peace. When you show up every day and meet God where He's waiting to meet you, you live the way He lives. You act the way He acts. You say what He wants you to say. There's always going to be people in your life who don't want to know God, who will shut you down when you start bringing Him up, or will roll their eyes when you're saying you're going to church, or will like scoff at you. There's always going to be those people, but it's a beautiful time to not just talk at them. I think it's a beautiful way of just showing them with kindness, with peace, with love. And eventually, they're going to want to know more. And eventually, they're going to ask questions, and you're going to be the person that they come to when they're struggling, because they can trust you, and they see that in you. So, Iman.
Yeah, no, I think what Caitlin just said is so good, and I hope you guys all heard it. And she's right. Until you spend time with the Lord and let Him fill you, you won't be able to reflect God without His light. That's number one. Number two, you got to ask yourself, why don't people want to know God? What are people afraid of when it comes to God? people unfortunately think, and they think God is judgmental. They think that if they're not living a lifestyle that is according to the Bible, they will not be accepted, they will be rejected, and they're scared of being rejected. They're scared of being judged. They're scared of being labeled. And the reason why a lot of people fear coming to God or going to church or knowing God, sometimes it's because of probably, and I'll be the first to admit it, it could be the way I'm portraying God. Maybe I'm the one who's judging them based on their lifestyles. It's very hard today to accept some people's lifestyles. And sometimes we use the Bible and sometimes we use God's word to try to tell them what they're doing is wrong. But when someone is already doing something wrong, they know it. They don't want someone beating them up over the head and using God's word to throw it at them. What they want is acceptance. What they want is love. It doesn't mean we have to accept or condone the sin. But sometimes those people that are walking the wrong path are already hurting. They're already suffering. Really quickly before we go on to the next answer, there was a high school kid many years ago he was one of the first kids I came to know when I started working. He was a really sweet kid, had a rough home, very rough home. He had a sister that was very demanding. He had a brother with special needs. The kid felt unseen by his parents. And he always got in trouble every day for coming to the office to make a phone call. No one knew why. He was always in the office making a phone call. And one time, I knew there had to be more to the story, and I wanted to know who is it that this kid calls every single day at his lunch and why. It turned out to be his grandmother, because she was the only one that saw him and loved him and accepted him. And at that point, I was like, he can't keep getting in trouble. It's okay. It's what he needs. Fast forward many years, this kid ended up coming out of the closet. He was gay, living a lifestyle as if he's never been to a private Christian school. He loved God, but he was so confused in life, and he was so embarrassed, he was so ashamed. And I had heard from his friends that that's the lifestyle he chose. And they said to me, he's so scared to come back to the school. He's so scared to see you because he knows how much you love him, but now he's afraid that because of his new decision, you're not gonna love him anymore. And of course, I couldn't seek him out. I didn't know where he was. And then one day I walk into Starbucks and who's behind the register? This kid. And his face just his mouth dropped when he saw me, and then he asked for a break and he came and said hello to me. And the first thing he said to me, Mrs. Guirgis, you must be so ashamed of me. He said, apparently everything I learned at that school failed me. And he said, do you think I'm gonna go to hell for being gay? How do you answer that? Right? I saw the despair in his eyes. I saw the tears in his eyes. I saw the confusion. And I looked back at him and I said, why do you think you would go to hell? And he said, well, isn't that what the Bible says? That I'm gonna go to hell because of the lifestyle that I'm living? And I said, well, let me ask you a different question. Do you think God loves you? And he said, I know God loves me. I said, that's what you should focus on, is how much God loves you. I think you just need to spend more time with the Lord, and you need to spend more time reading the Bible, and any church would be happy to have you. And if you can't find a church, and if you can't go back to your own church, you can come to our church, and you will be accepted and you will be loved. But the fact that you asked me, if you think you're gonna go to hell because you're gay, then you already know that that's not the lifestyle God chose for you. But I also believe God loves you enough to tell you and to guide you and to redirect you. And he cried and gave me a hug. Because that's all he needed. And that's who God is. God is gentle. God is very gentle. Like, I love when Abuna brought up the prodigal son, because that is definitely a story I think about a lot. Because we have many prodigals in our lives right now. Many prodigals, husbands, children, wives, many, many prodigals. And I often wonder, knowing what they know and choosing the life that they chose and leaving and walking away from the God that they love, is there a way back? And the answer is yes. Because God, unlike us, does not force, does not yell, does not scream, does not condemn, does not judge. What does he do? What the prodigal father did. He waited with open arms until this man returned. And I still have a relationship with this kid. And you know what it really turned out? He wasn't gay. He was confused about his identity. He wasn't gay. And not that that was the breaking point for me. I stayed in touch with him no matter what. I was more sad that the world confused him into thinking that he has to be gay because he's different, because he's messed up, because he comes from a broken family. So sometimes our gentle response will be the reason why people come back to church. It'll be the reason why people seek God. Could you imagine if I reacted differently? That kid would never, ever pursue God again. So we have to be very careful on how we reflect Christ to these people. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you, Caroline. The only thing that I'll add to this is that no one can be forced into knowing God. Just back to that question, if someone doesn't know God, or you feel like you want to pull someone closer to God, nobody's going to be forced to knowing God, and you can't just force someone, but it's going to be through like the image that you put through to that other person. Kind of similar to what's being said, like if I live a life that mirrors God, that person is going to want to know God, right? Doesn't that make sense? Like when Christ said, how will they know that you're my disciples? What was the key? You guys remember that verse? They'll know you that you're my disciples, and disciples mean what? They represent Christ, they follow Christ, they do the work of Christ. They'll know that you are my representative and my image is imprinted on you, and they'll see God when you do what? Anybody remembers the rest of the verse? When you love one another. When you start putting differences aside. When you start not pointing fingers. When you start stopping the gossiping. When you start seeing someone that looks different in your friend group or in church or in a meeting or what have you at work or school, and you start having those eyes of, oh, you're different, like you don't belong. Or you've done this and you have this sort of past, you don't belong. They see it. They're not dumb. People read these signs. People read these eyes, and they understand that they're not accepted. And what do they get at the end? How do I know God? I'm not even accepted by the person that's standing in front of me, and I don't belong, and I'm not welcomed with a God who should honor something at a much higher level according to understanding, right? That God is, would he accept me? And that's where it comes from. When God is saying, they'll know that you belong to me, that they'll know me through you. So now that begs the question, how do I act? Do I keep talking badly about people? Do I talk behind people and gossip about them? When am I going to break that? When am I going to stop? Because guess what? We're not only just called by name, which is very important, but we're called to do the work of God. When God said in the very beginning, I've made men, let's make men in our own image. What's the purpose? So that we can be God. Not God in that sense that we are like God, but that we be his image and we change each other and we become his image so people can accept him and see him and walk through him and love God more. And they have an open door to see what God had planned for them. So it's our role to make a change in those areas as well. Does that make any sense? Did you have a question? Yeah. Point.
I'm Sarah, and I think I have two verses from John that I think really apply to this. It's John 15, verses 4 and 5. Abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. So I think the focus first is connecting yourself to Christ and being rooted in Christ, because you can't bear fruit and show people Christ without being connected to Christ yourself. So I think the first step is connecting yourself to Christ, and then further asking him, Lord, like, open my eyes to you, let me see you, let me follow your virtues and learn how to act in you, to grow in you, and to show you to others. Because it's not like something that I like to say is greater is the one inside, right? So if he is greater and he is the Spirit, then he can overtake us and allow us to act in him. So the first step is growing in him, then further asking him to be worthy of showing him.
That summed it up pretty well. All right, next question.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Has anybody thought of anything that they want to ask?
Come on, guys. Any live? I know you have questions. Any questions? Not the third row, though. That's you. Any questions here? Yes? Are you guys tired? Yes? Good. So we have 15 more questions to go. No, I'm just kidding. Relax. It's all right. All right. Maybe one last question and then.
So actually, this is for you. What inspired you so much about last high school conference that we had? What inspired you? Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a good question. What inspired me about when I was with you last time? When I speak, I look out into your eyes. And without you even realizing it, I catch all your eyes. And I saw that you were attentive. I saw your enthusiasm. And believe it or not, I saw your hunger. And even though you didn't ask a lot of questions back then, I just think it's probably not something people your age do right now, raise their hand. You'd rather send it anonymously. But I saw a hunger and thirst in you that I don't see among a lot of other youth. And when Abuna was saying before Caitlin started her talk about you guys looking down on your phone, I must have missed it, because when I was speaking, I caught some of your eyes. If I had seen anyone on their phone or anything, and maybe I just was not as attentive as I should have been, not that I would have called you out, but it does interrupt me and disrupts me. And that's what I find with some of the kids back home. They're talking and they're on their phone, they're not paying attention, and they're distracted. I didn't see that with you. That's why you inspired me. And that's why I thought it was worth it for me to come back and speak with you again. And I also loved the conference planning with your priests. I love how involved they are and how much they love you and how much they care about you. And they even wanted you to have fun today, which I don't hear a lot of priests saying that. Usually a spiritual day is like a hardcore spiritual day, but they actually wanted you guys to have some fun today, which I thought was really cute.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to start to wrap up the rest of the day now, so we can go about the rest of the evening together, outside, having fun, lunch, and everything. But before we do that, we just want to emphasize one last time how thankful and blessed we were today with Caroline and Caitlin, and the words and all the gems that they shared with us today. I really hope we can take a lot of what was said to us today and just find one point that you might have picked up from either one or both of the words that were shared with us today and see what change we can make. Just find one little change. I know a lot of times when we go to a spiritual day, or we go to a retreat, or we go to something that might have been impactful, some of the instant feelings that come down on us are maybe like we're overwhelmed, or we're anxious, or we're like, there's so many things that there's left to do that I almost want to do nothing, right? So today, just find one small change that you can start with, or one small thing that we can take and apply and just start there. And wherever you start, use the rest of the resources that are given to you within the church. You have your servants. You have each other, supposed to be each other. You have your spiritual fathers. You have a lot of things that can help work, that you can use to work in harmony with God and grow to find out exactly what calling it is that we have today. And I know a lot of the times when we speak about calling, especially at such a young age, we automatically divert to being distracted because, like, well, I'm 13, I'm 14, I'm 15, and this talk is not for me. This subject is not for me. No, yes, of course it is for you. Of course it is for me. Right? We're all called for a specific calling. And God has, again, I'll re-emphasize, a beautiful vision for our life that might not even make sense to us right now at such an age. Maybe for some of us it does make sense. But just recognize who you are. And because your life was granted to you by God, in of itself, by definition, it's already beautiful. It's already beautiful in the way that it is, just because it was granted to you by God. So now it's up to us to decide whether or not we will continue to be that way. The last analogy I'll leave you off with is like, I shared this with our high school group last night, so I apologize to you guys if you're going to hear this again. But does anyone here like art by any chance? Or enjoy looking at art? Or what? All right, thank God. There's like 2 or 3 people that enjoy something that's not on their phone. But did anyone ever see an icon or a picture that was so beautiful that you enjoyed looking at it? Let's start there. Okay, more hands. We're getting somewhere. Thank God. Yes, over here, beautiful. Did these icons just pop out of nowhere and become beautiful the way that they were? No. Right? Where did they have to start? Where did they have to start to get to where they are? There was a blueprint, there was a vision, there was a designer, there was a creator that had a vision behind these icons, right? And maybe in the beginning, in the way some of these icons looked, with some of the lines that were being drawn, and in the direction that the artist was going, maybe it might have made no sense the way that the picture looks from the beginning, the way some of the lines were. Maybe when you look at it from the beginning, it might be like, where is this artist going? This picture actually might come out ugly the way these lines are, until once you get towards the bigger picture, you see this beautiful design in front of you. And our lives work in the same exact way. That sometimes we have these little lines that are going on in our life that might be long, they might be hard, they might make no sense. Sometimes I decide, you know what, I don't want this line to go this way, I just want to go left and right and up and down, and I mess it up. But that's okay, because in the end, the creator and the designer of our lives has this beautiful big picture in mind. So don't get lost in all of the lines, in all of the little details that might happen in our lives, because these big, beautiful pictures are what our lives are designed to be. And it's up to us to decide to get to these beautiful pictures or not. And I think Abuna Daniel now is going to walk us through the rest of the schedule because I forgot everything you told me. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much for everything, everyone. And I don't know what to say, but yani, such a great blessing from all the servants and everybody that gathered together to work so hard. I'm going to try to, I don't want to mention names and talk all about that. But if we have so many servants that have been working so hard, if all the servants that have been involved for the day can just raise their hands, would be great. Just raise your hand if you are one of the servants, please. Raise your hand, up high, up high. Up high, up high. Thank you so much. Hani, Yusuf, Abanob, John, George, Liz, Who else had their hands up? So because I can't see. And Natalie, who had to leave early, yes, she was with us also. Anyone else I missed? Abanob, I mentioned you. Abanob, second time? Okay, great. All right. Very good. We definitely want to thank a blessing. Thank you so much for being with us and teaching us a lot and reminding us a lot about what's important, to remember how God sees us and what He's calling us to do, and to start making a few different decisions moving forward. So thank you so much for blessing us this day. There's something small from all of us, just to you. Abuna, can you just help? This is Caroline. Caroline. This is something small. Caitlin, this is for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much, of course. Thank you so much. And we're going to we didn't forget about you guys. Abuna Timothy is going to share also with us just a bit of what the gift is that you're going to get, something that Yusuf will tell us also, a little bit about what the gift is. So as you take it up, just start lining up, and we're going to take a group picture as best as we can. As you take it, just stand up and line up together, okay?
You want me to explain? Yeah. Okay. Hey guys, no, it's okay. So we got you guys prayer boxes. So you write your prayers in them. If somebody asks you to pray for them, you can write it in there. Write slips for your friends and family members for prayers that you're asking for. And then it'll be like every time you go to pray and in your quiet time, you'll make a physical reminder of it and write it down. And then weeks and months later, you can go back and say, these are all the prayers that God has answered for me. These are the prayers that God didn't answer for me. This is why. You're going to see all the good things God has done for you and all the things that you've prayed for and all that He's answered for you. You can also write Bible verses and keep them in there. Cross. Shh. That's it.
Okay, you guys can start coming up from this row. Come up, we're going to give you gifts. But as you take it, line up. Line up.
Go stand for the picture.
Pete, you better find the right home.
Go, come take the picture. Come. Go, come. Go get. I'm not choking nobody. Yalla, Juju. Yo, line up, take a picture. You can't all stand on the left side. You can't all stand on the left side. Some of you have to stand on the right side.
6, 7.
Turn around.
What are you doing? Stand in the back. We am not
Stand in the back. Don't be shown. Don't be. Yo, guys in the back, come get in the picture. Faris, yalla, Kiro. ربنا معاكم.
الاسم الوحيد اللي حفظته من بروكلين.
Yo, guys. All right.
Max.
Come on.
Abuna Antonius. Oh, it's just Abuna. Kevin. Guys, can I have a quick question for you? Just a quick thing. So Kevin is one of the high school servants. Kevin is one of the high school servants, also works so hard in the background. Nobody saw him, right? Nobody probably saw him much, but he was running a lot in the back and doing a lot of different planning and telling this person and that area. So please, let's just clap also for Kevin because we didn't mention him. So Kevin, thank you so much. Is Kevin there? Did he leave?
You have to look.
Last but not least, part of the program, guys, once you walk outside of those double doors, just pay attention with me, guys, you're listening. There is outdoor, if I can just say food, if you're hungry, there's outdoor lunch. Once you walk outdoor these double doors, make a right immediately, and you're gonna see the food being prepared outside for you, okay? So head out for lunch. And then lastly, guys, just hear me out. And then lastly, there's going to be Vespers at 7 p.m., followed by midnight praises. Would love for all of us to stay together and continue praising throughout the night, okay? So for now, lunch, and then praises and Vespers at 7 p.m.
I'm so tired.